Hello friends, in today's video I will be talking about CELPIP listening. So in CELPIP listening, if I talk about, so there are total 6 parts, and all these 6 parts you're going to listen the audio first, and once that audio is over you will have the questions in front of you. Now many of the students, they always get confused what to listen, how to listen, and they are always afraid of forgetting the useful information that they heard in the audio. So just to overcome this fear of forgetting the things, they keep on writing so many things. In fact, I have seen a few students who just make the entire transcript of that audio portion, but later on when they come to the question part, they even don't have time to look back their notes, and this is what exactly happens. Okay, so in today's video I'm going to address these kind of situations, these kind of problems that you might have come across in your exam, or you might face the same situation if you are going to take in near future. Okay, so this video is about CELPIP listening, how to make notes. So the very first thing is that why to make notes. So why it is important for you to make notes in CELPIP listening. The very first reason is, as we discussed, you are going to listen the audio first, and then after that only questions appear on the screen. So you are always afraid of forgetting the useful information, so you think you should grab this opportunity of making notes. Now in real exam you are always provided with a paper and pen. So with using pen and paper you can make notes as much as you want. So there is no restrictions actually. You can make notes, and at the same time once you are practicing at home, make sure you make the notes. So practice in the same way at home, the way you think you are going to take your real exam. Okay, so they want to make notes so that they can remember the information and they find out the questions answers. The second thing is that making notes will give you confidence, even if you do not get a chance to look back the notes that you have made. But yes, if you have written down something, it gives you that confidence, it gives you that satisfaction that okay, you have a backup plan with you. If you forget anything, you can always check your notes. Okay, so this is another reason people keep making a lot of notes actually. The third thing is that you can check back if you have any doubt and answer. So if you have any doubt, means there is some kind of confusing information in that audio, or might be in the questions when the options are given. So once you read the options and you get confused, at that time you have this opportunity of checking back. So you can read your notes, you can check what information was there, and accordingly you can answer the questions. So these things make it really important to make notes. And another thing is that once you are making notes, make sure you focus on that particular information. Do not write long sentences, only make notes in short phrases. So write words or phrases, and that too again in bullet point. So making notes in the form of bullet points and only writing useful phrases will help you to check it back whenever it's needed. So when you are making notes, make sure you write what happened, okay, what is the topic about, or whatever it is. The second is when. Okay, so you can just write about timing or anything about it. So who is the person or whom this conversation is about, then why. So if they are talking about some special happening, some special reason or anything, so you can note it down quickly. And then where. So these are the things, all these WH word makes it important or makes it easy for you to write down. Another thing that will always help you, it's not exactly related to notes, but yes, whenever you are going to play that audio, before actually going to that audio part, you have to read the instructions very carefully. So whenever you are going to listen that audio, before that there is a page appears on your screen, and this page gives you the subject or the basic information about what the audio is about. Might be you are going to listen a conversation between a shopkeeper and a customer. The customer wants to purchase a mobile. Okay, so now you get to know that the conversation is going to take place at a mobile outlet, and this conversation is between a shopkeeper and a customer. Okay, so it might be a conversation between two people, two co-workers, and these two co-workers are taking coffee in a cafeteria. So they are discussing about some problem in their office. So who are the speakers in that conversation, in that audio, where they are going to talk about, and all such things are always given in the instructions page before that audio, main audio part. So make sure you will read it very carefully and understand. These things will make your note taking part pretty easy. Why? Because you know what you are going to listen. Okay, and sometime whatever your first question is, that first question also becomes very easy to be answered because of this information that you have read before that main listening part. Okay, so this is how, why people are thinking they should make notes. Now I'll tell you what I personally think, or what I have observed you should do. You should have a dare to do. So however, I would suggest no notes policy, especially in part 1, 2 and 3. As you know, in listening, in CELPIP listening, total you will be having 6 parts. But out of these 6 parts, 1, 2 and 3 are of the different type of questions, and 4, 5, 6 are the different one. So 1, 2, 3 basically dialogues. Two people are there who are discussing the thing, so dialogues are there. However, part 4 and part 6, they are the monologue. Monologue means one person speaking. So when you are going to listen monologues, it is quite lengthy. There is no change in tones, there is no change in voices. So if one person is speaking, that one person would be speaking extremely fast, and sometimes you cannot catch the person. Once you start writing something, you might miss the upcoming sentence. However, in part 1, 2 and 3, the situation is absolutely different. You are going to listen small sentences or dialogues are there. Okay, so part 1, 2 and 3, I always ask students to go for no notes policy. No notes policy means do not write anything. It might be surprising for you that I'm telling you to make notes here, and then I tell you not to make notes. But yes, this is the strategy that I always teach the students. I ask them to follow, and trust me, once they start following it, this thing for part 1, 2 and 3, they feel very relaxed. They listen carefully, they understand the conversation. Don't only listen it, just try to understand. Listen it, understand it, and then obviously go for your answers, and you can easily answer all the 19 questions correct. Okay, so why you shouldn't be making notes? Or okay, let's say you want to make notes still, so you can just write a few things, like if you are going to listen some number, you are going to listen some timing or something, only that can be written. Okay, so nothing more than that. Initially you might be skeptical that how this policy or how this strategy of mine will help you, but I assure you it will. So at least just try it once or twice at home, because I'm not asking you to go and make experiments during real exam straight away. Practice it at home and you will be really comfortable. Okay, so now why you shouldn't be making notes? The very first thing is that shorter audio is played, so it is easy to recall. So in part 1, 2 and 3, the length of the audio is really short. It is like around 1 minute or 1.5 minutes. So recalling something which is a 1 and 1.5 minute is extremely easy. You can easily understand, you can easily recall, because this is a shorter audio. Okay. Another thing is that, as we have discussed, so dialogues are spoken in part 1, 2 and 3. So dialogues are spoken which are based on daily life conversations. So daily life conversation, easy for you to understand, easy for you to recall. And since there are dialogue, and these dialogues are between a man and a woman. So man and a woman, there is change in voices. One is speaking, then other is speaking, then the one person is speaking, then the other person is speaking. So in this way they are having a conversations, and you can easily understand and remember as well. Okay, so easy to understand. So try to understand rather than making notes, because if you are making notes, you might miss some important information that's in fact not needed. Okay, so try to understand. don't make any notes in part 1, 2 and 3. Another thing, okay, why? So there is a very strong logic for that, because in these parts 1, 2 and 3 you are going to hear that question. The questions are not given in a text form. You are going to hear the audio for the question. So only 30 seconds are given for each question, so unable to check notes. So 30 seconds means once your main audio is over, there will be a timer start running for 30 seconds. In these 30 seconds itself, you are going to listen to the question. And the question is sometimes 5, 7 or 8 seconds long. So out of 30 seconds, 7, 8 seconds are consumed by the question audio. Now technically you are left with 22 or 23 seconds. In 22 and 23 seconds you are going to read your options. Obviously 4 options are there. You are going to read the options. Now if you are having a little doubt, so basically the questions are there at your eye level, but now your notes are not there at the eye level. You have written the notes on the paper, you have to look down to check back what you have written, and then again look up and read the options again. By that time you will realize the time is already over. Okay, and if you missed one question, that is not as much disastrous as your mental state would be at that time. So in real exam, if you miss only one question, if your only one question goes unanswered, that is sufficient enough to make you panic, and once you get panic, your entire exam go waste. Okay, so preparing at home is most important, and at the same time not making any notes is again important. Why? Because you don't have time to check it back. Only 30 seconds for each question in part 1, 2 and 3. So why to take risk? Why not to practice without notes in these parts? And then is another thing. Okay, let's say I understood that you have made notes, you have this courage of checking it back quickly at the time of answering. Now the other problem that you are going to face is speed writing. Since the person will not be repeating whatever they have spoken earlier, so you have no option of playing that audio again. Once it is over, it is over. You cannot reduce its speed. It will be at the faster pace. Then you cannot listen it again. Nothing is in your control. Okay, so obviously you will be making notes in speed, and this speed writing would make your handwriting worse and hard to read. If you have written something, that's really great, but now the challenge is you will not be able to understand what you have written if you are making long notes. So making long notes will never help you in this beginning part 1, 2 and 3. Just listen carefully so that you can answer all that question correctly. Even if you think, okay, you don't have that much of good memory and you might forget, but again, just practice. And with practice, you become habitual of it and you can easily write it down. And obviously for part 4, 5 and 6, I would always suggest to make notes. But how to make notes, that I will discuss in the next video. But I hope this video will really help you and will motivate you to do it nicely. Okay, so keep learning with me. All the best.